Today on the Extreme Channel, we're going to review this piece from XM Studios that I waited 3 years for. But we're also going to discuss how shipping couriers are very much like the DMV. I know what you're thinking. Ooh, tantalizing talk. Hey, thanks for tuning in. My name is Mr. X, and we are about extreme collectibles. And as I said in the intro, I have a very extreme piece in front of me right now. So this is made by a company called XM Studios. And obviously it is Dr. Octopus, one of the quintessential Spider-Man villains. So Dr. Octopus, or Doc Oct, is generally regarded as one of the main Spider-Man villains. And what's really interesting about this piece we'll talk about in the review today is XM Studios is one of the few companies out there that decided, hey, we're going to make a lot of the main and secondary Spider-Man villains. But what's funny is Doc Oct is actually, to my knowledge, one of the last ones they actually made. They made the entire Sinister Six. I own quite a few of them and have reviewed them. You can actually check them out in the channel. And I'm glad that this last piece, and in my opinion, one of the main pieces, is finally here. The only ones I don't have in their collection are the Kraven and the Vulture. So XM Studios, what they do is when they make characters, they actually do a comic take on that character, then a little bit of a modernized twist. And that's what you definitely see with this piece. We're going to talk about that. Before we do, let me clarify about the DMV and the shipping couriers. So first of all, DMV, if you live in the States, that's the Department of Motor Vehicles, everybody has to go to, whether you need identification or you need something to register your car. And they have no competitors. You have to go there. You have to pay them money. So they have no motivation to make you happy. So when you do need to go there, first of all, you usually have to go there multiple times. But when you're there, you have to wait in a long-ass line. And most of the employees are very unpleasant. They don't try and make you happy. They don't really care because you have to continue going back and giving them your business. Now with shipping couriers, it's kind of the same thing in my opinion. Shipping logistics is kind of a genius, profitable company. Now with shipping couriers like DHL, what I use for this, DHL Express, supposed to come in 3 days or so overseas. And the different options tell you how quickly you can get the package there. And obviously they charge more for the quicker options. Now DHL, UPS, FedEx, USPS, it doesn't really matter who. What they do is they put a clause in there that says, you know what? We can't guarantee it'll get there at any time. So it'll get there when it gets there, no matter how much money you pay us. And if you don't like that, tough. So this particular piece I waited 3 years for actually arrived in town 3 days ago. And it was scheduled for delivery. And then the day it was supposed to be delivered, about halfway through the day, they said, you know what, we're going to reschedule it for next Monday because we're busy. So I got a hold of them and I tried to argue with them and they said, okay, we'll ship it out the next day. So the next day I woke up and they rescheduled it again for the next week. So I got a hold of them and they said, hey, I really need this piece because I'm in a race. A race against Gem Mint because I know he's getting his today. And they said, well, we don't know who Gem Mint is, Mr. X, because we only watch your stuff. But we can get it out to you tomorrow. And I said, that's fine, but what if I came to pick it up today? They said, nah, that's kind of inconvenient for us. And then I asked them, well, why didn't it get delivered today? They said, well, we didn't want to make 2 trips on the truck. Gotcha. So then I asked, well, do I get any refund because it wasn't delivered as promised? And they laughed so hard, it went on for about 5 minutes. But anyway, enough of that. So now we're going to dive into the extreme review of this piece. And kind of a spoiler, during the assembly, there were a lot of things that I was amazed by and a few things I kind of questioned, but we'll go over all that. Before we do, however, we're incredibly close to our next giveaway. Check it out. As a thank you to you guys, we're giving away these 2 exclusive Mortal Kombat statues from Pop Culture Shock Toys. We've already given away this Sub-Zero. It's being shipped to the winner of the 15,000 sub giveaway. Up for grabs at 17,500 subs is this exclusive Scorpion statue. First thing you need to do is make sure you've liked this video, you subscribe to the channel, and you've hit that bell notification. Second thing is we are going to pick random videos. This is one of those random videos, and insert this segment somewhere. You need to make sure you comment on that video. We are going to pick a random comment from one of said videos, and you will be the winner of this Scorpion statue. As always, first thing we're going to review is the concept of this piece. Now this is where it really shines because, simply put, it's incredible. So you have at the bottom what you assume to be a building ledge. Now granted it could be the ground or concrete, but that's kind of weird that he would be just 1 foot off the ground climbing up the building. You see a few coins on there, we'll look closer at that. Now he is scaling the building with his tentacles or his arms, which you see this actually a lot if you remember Spider-Man 2, the original one that came out, with Alfred Molina. This is how he kind of traveled, and he does this in the comics as well. What's great about this statue is you have so much going on. So as he's scaling this building, and we assume it's somewhere in New York, he just robbed a bank, clearly. You have a bag of gold coins, because apparently this is a bank from a pirate ship or something. And as he's scaling up this building, it's a very action dynamic pose. His coat is flowing in the wind. Each of his appendages is doing something different. He has 8 appendages, including his 4 tentacles, which is why he's called Doc Oct. In one of his tentacles, he actually has a camera, presumably Peter Parker's camera, where maybe he's fighting Spider-Man and he just took it. Maybe he just wanted to take a selfie, who knows. But he has this very evil, victorious look on his portrait, and he has a few different portraits we're going to look at. But it's kind of sinister, if you will, kind of hence the Sinister Six, but I think that adjective just suits this purposefully. And there's a lot going on the front and the back. You'll see some of that when we look at the design of this piece. But I love it. He's suspended in midair. There are so many different things going on. It's showing truly his power. It's showing how evil he is. I think it's a fantastic addition. And I think what's really cool is that it's going to look well with the Sideshow Spider-Man comiquette, this piece right here. So I'm going to pair them next to each other and take some shots. If you want to see what that looks like, you can actually check out the Extreme Channel Instagram and Facebook page. The link is in the description below. I post exclusive stuff just on those places. So overall, I think for Doc Oct, it's a 5 out of 5 concept, which, they haven't made a lot of Doc Oct statues. To my knowledge, at least in the most recent years, this is the only 1/4 scale one, and they knocked it out of the park. Now we're going to look at the design, and this is where I ran into a few issues, which we will talk about. But before we look at the assembly, I just want to show, look at this. I love every part of it. This is where it'll scale really well, I think, with the Sideshow comiquette statue, because it kind of has this similar type base. I love how the tentacles are wrapped in between the windows in the building. Coins up here suspended in midair are just simply badass. How everything's flowing, the fluidity and motion of this statue, of the design, is just awesome. But here is the unboxing and assembly. It was actually a pretty manageable box for an XM Studios piece, which was nice. Your standard XM packaging that's incredibly difficult to get the lid off with the foam and the straps. So it was 2 different layers. The top layer was essentially Doc Oct, his portraits, and a few other things, as you can see right here. And then the bottom layer had the base and 4 tentacles. Believe it or not, there was not a ton to this statue, even though the assembly may say a little differently. Also, in traditional XM Studios fashion, you have a few other things that came in the box. You get your standard envelope, which will have an art print in the same pose as the statue traditionally. This one's a little bit of a close-up, This is my first time seeing it. I don't use the art prints. And you also have a layout of where everything was in the box and directions on how to register your product, QR codes for the assembly videos. Now this piece was released a while back, so not all of them have the little display cards. I was able to get one. Here's a picture right here. So they actually made 180 of the display cards, but 600 of the statue. So really the big issues were this top tentacle up here clearly wasn't QC'd at the factory. I had some significant issues not only getting it into here, but also it's really not curved right. Maybe because it's really cold here right now, maybe it bent a little bit or the polystone or resin shrank. Sometimes that happens. So it took about 20 minutes to get that perfectly without breaking anything. The other thing, the peg that goes into here, as you saw, it sticks out a decent amount. Here's a picture of it right here. Granted, this is only a side shot, but it makes me worry a little bit because he is a little bit loose. And I don't want to move him too much because the tentacles, I'm a little bit worried. Now there are two portrait options. Let's take a look. So this first one right here, he has the red goggles on. And this is probably my least favorite, although both look good. Now this one right here, I'm a little disappointed. I remember that they actually had Spider-Man in the reflection of the glasses, and you no longer see it, but it still looks fantastic. And I'm sure they made an update and changed that. I don't look at updates. I hate seeing work in progress pictures because once I've bought something, I've bought it. I want to wait until I actually open it up to really enjoy every part of it. So design, they went really elaborate, so I give them a lot of points for that. I do have some significant concerns because even at some angles, it almost looks like it's bending forward a little bit. I don't think it'll ever fall. Now that I finally got that tentacle in on the top and on the side, I think it's okay. However, I do have to unassemble this because this was supposed to go to my office, but it was shipped to my home. So I have to take it there with all the Spider-Man pieces, so that has me a little bit worried. I think I have to give them a lot of props for the complexity of the engineering of this. So despite some of these big concerns and issues I have that may get bigger or may go away, I think it's still a 4 out of 5 on the design for this piece. Paint and sculpt we'll look at together but grade separately, and we're going to do a video because I really want you guys to see some of the detail on this because it's pretty damn good. But let's check it out. So I think we're going to start with Doc Oct and start with the portrait specifically because I think this portrait's going back in the box for me. Now it's done really well. I mean, look at the detail and paint around the teeth. But I think it's the salad bowl haircut, which, you know, does have a lot of comic reference to it. So I appreciate it, and it looks fantastic. It's just, it's not for me. He's too goofy looking with that portrait. Maybe for your extreme comic people, but I much prefer the other one, which we'll take a look at here. Has a much wider band with those glasses. And again, it's a little more of a sinister stare and smile. I love the skin tones. A little bit of a 5 o'clock shadow. Again, they did a great job with the highlights in his hair and the directionality of it. Really nice. Now Doc Oct himself done fantastically. I like the texture on his suit, both on the green and the yellow part. It varies a little bit, and so do the tones of, you can actually see the green. A lot of black shadowing in the yellow parts, whether it's the gloves. And look at these, they just look fantastic. Really well done. Move down, yeah, he has his little bat utility belt. Again, this looks like it's mixed media. It looks like it's fabric, but it's actually sculpted. Superb detail on this, on so many different parts. So you can definitely tell he's in the middle of a battle. His green suit's a little bit cleaner, but it is a darker color, so I get that. His coat looks fantastic. A lot of times with like a leather type coat, I actually prefer fabric or mixed media, but they did a great job on this, from the straps and the buckles to even the variation of browns throughout. Doc Oct himself, I don't want to say perfect, but is damn near close perfect when it comes to the paint and sculpt. And then let's look at his tentacles here. I like they didn't go too shiny. They do have a little bit of a plastic feel to them, but not incredibly too much. And I think that's when you shine the bright lights on it. But even the detail on the camera right here, or if you move down to the bank bag, looks amazing with the coins dropping out of it. The coins do have a little bit of a plastic look to them as well, because mainly the ones on the bottom are plastic. But that's being a little bit nitpicky. It would have been cool if they had a light up feature with his tentacles there. I like this part of the base a lot. The indentions and the cracks, the colors they used. The building, so it says bank back here. It's kind of hard to see. When I was assembling it, you could obviously see. So, you know, I talked about earlier it might be an apartment building. Obviously, I misspoke because I have that short of a memory span. I like the wear in the building where the tentacles have hit it. Shows the power and strength of those. Now the bricks, I think they could have done a little bit better on. They just don't look real to me, where the rest of this statue is through the roof real. No pun intended. But I like how they even went out of their way to put all this detail on the back. The interior figure, it's like the drywall. So I think they could have done a little bit more, like with this top and the bricks and maybe even a few pieces. And we didn't talk about the plastic window here. It looks okay. But the rest of it just phenomenally done. So much detail on both the paint and sculpt everywhere. The intricate parts of this just blew me away. All right, so paint, incredibly clean. I really like it. I think they did a fantastic job. I'm not really seeing a lot of areas where there's paint blemishes. A lot of it, it's fully sculpted, and some of the paint really makes it look like some of the coat especially is fabric. And I like that they didn't go too shiny, as I said, on his tentacles. I think the paint on this piece for factory is 5 out of 5. It is really, really impressive. The sculpt is also equally impressive, and I'm really trying hard not to say, hey, this is a 5 out of 5 on the sculpt. But I love the direction they went with his suit, with his body. The building, like I said, some of the brick and wall could have been a little bit better, but I think it still deserves a 5 out of 5 on the sculpt for this piece as well. All right, so now let's talk about value for this piece. This retailed right around $900 US, depending on the exchange rates. And then, like I said, you pay for shipping, and shipping can be anywhere from $150 to $400, depending on what's going on, which all in is a lot of money for a 1/4 scale piece. Typically, those run in the price range of around $750 or so when it's all said and done. The edition size of this is actually 600. That's fairly low, especially for a character that's not done very often. And with so many people having Spider-Man statues, I can imagine they'd love to pair it against a Doc Oct. And this piece, like I said, can pair really well against a Spider-Man. You'll see that on the Extreme channel, Instagram, and Facebook. So I think the value is still 4 out of 5, despite this being a lot of money for a 1/4 scale piece. Now, does this statue have the X factor? Is this a 5 out of 5 statue? Let's just cut to the chase. This is an amazing statue on so many different levels. I think you want a Dr. Octopus if you have a Spider-Man collection, and I think they nailed him on every single level. I hope that none of the design issues turn into problems over time. I hope I can transport him safely to my office, but I love this statue. XM Studios did a fantastic job, as they normally do. Really impressed with this piece. Definitely worth the 3-year wait. I have a feeling this statue is going to really rise in value for a long period of time. So thanks for tuning in today, guys. Make sure to tune in tomorrow if you're watching this present day. Tomorrow is the last day of the year, so we have something special for you guys. If you haven't, hit that Mr. X logo to subscribe if you like stuff like this. Otherwise, check out some of these other playlists until I talk to you tomorrow. Take care of yourself.